Hi everyone, welcome back to DGMC. Diwane Galib, Meri Subani. To all our returning viewers, we are very happy you could join us again. And for the new viewers, we are delighted you discovered the podcast and decided to tune in for the first time. Now, if you were with me in the previous episode, you know that currently we are going through Ghazal 22 from Diwane Galib. हवस को है नशाते कार क्या क्या. Today we are going to pick the 13th couplet from this ghazal. This is the last couplet of the ghazal, or as we know it in Urdu, the maqta of the ghazal. So, as always, I'm going to read the couplet first and then we will get into the impressions. So this is how it goes. Balaye jaan hai galib, बलाए जां है गालिब उसकी हर बात. बलाए जां है गालिब उसकी हर बात. इबारत क्या, इशारत क्या, अदा क्या. So, let's do a quick approximate translation. First line, बलाए जां है गालिब उसकी हर बात. It's a life-threatening calamity, Galib. Everything about her. Second line, इबारत क्या, इशारत क्या, अदा क्या. Be it speech, be it gestures, be it style. So, that's a very, very basic one-on-one translation of the couplet. Now, before we get into the couplet per se, just wanted to spend a minute on the fact that this is the maqta of the ghazal. As we know, maqta is defined as the couplet in a ghazal where the poet or the shair is going to use their pen name, or as we know it in Urdu, takhallus. And true to that definition, yes, Galib is using his pen name, his takhallus in the couplet, Galib. But more importantly, maqta is an opportunity for readers like us, right, to see how the shair or the poet has finally decided to climax the ghazal. How is he going to tie down his ghazal towards the end? How is he going to design the penultimate peak for his ghazal in the last couplet? And when you are reading maqtas from shairs of the caliber as Galib, it becomes even more enjoyable to figure out how they have designed the maqta. Are they going to pull elements from the previous couplet into the maqta, or are they going to create a totally new element, a new theme for their maqta, right? As you know, ghazal is differentiated from a nazm because ghazal has the liberty to pick an entirely new theme for each couplet. Ghazal is not tied down to the rule of following the same theme in every couplet, whereas a nazm is. So it is one is very curious to know whether the shair is going to pick some elements from the previous couplets for his maqta, or he's going to create a totally new element, a totally new theme for his maqta. Having said that, Galib is definitely, it seems after reading the sher, going to keep the beloved as the centerpiece of his maqta. Us, right? In the first line, uski. That is the beloved. This is how he's addressing the beloved. And I think the way we are understanding the couplet, beloved will be at the center. One part of the couplet will focus on the lover. The second part will focus on something related to the beloved. And beloved will serve as the connector. So, with that framework in place, let's dive in. First line, Balaye jaan hai galib uski har baat. Let's pick up the keywords first. Bala. Bala is translated to something evil, something akin to a calamity, something with a very ominous feeling, right? And then when you attach ja to it, ja is life. Now it becomes something calamitous, something ominous, which will threaten life, which will endanger life. Now, balai ja as a word is very interesting, but even as a concept, it is something very interesting. And we should take this opportunity to explore this from the concept perspective also. So, इस शेर में तो बलाए जा है गालिब उसकी हर बात. So, Galib has picked up beloved's har baat, everything about the beloved, as the life-threatening calamity. But this is not the only life-threatening calamity that a lover faces in Urdu poetry. There are many others, right? There are many others. And Galib ki hi ek aur type of balaija in this couplet. So the couplet is कताए इमार है अक्सर नजूम. कताए इमार है अक्सर नजूम, वो बलाए आसमानी और है. So the approximate translation is, cutting short our lives has always been done by these heavenly celestial bodies, including stars. You must have heard the phrase, our fate is in the stars, or the stars of our fate, or something to that effect, right? So the first line says that cutting short of lives, deciding the span of lives, has always been done by celestial bodies, right? But wo balai asmani aur hai. But this celestial calamity that I'm encountering, by extension the beloved, is something in a class of its own. By extension, she wields a power that dictates the span of my life in a totally different way, in a totally different league when compared to our regular stars and celestial bodies that control it. So, in this couplet, the Balai Ja is the beloved in totality, the beloved as a person who is going to have the ability to cut short the lover's life. Much more intense when compared to stars, etc. And then Galib का ये शेर, कहूँ किससे मैं कि क्या है, शबे गम बुरी बला है. मुझे क्या बुरा था मरना अगर एक बार होता. We have covered this ghazal, ये न थी हमारी किस्मत विसाले यार होता. If you want the whole impression, it is available. But for today's episode, this couplet translates to, who do I go and say? Who do I go and describe to? The evil, calamitous effect these nights of separation have on me. Because as a lover, I would be happy to die once, if it was once. But these nights of separation make me die again and again. So in this couplet, that Balai Ja has been identified as those nights of separation for the lover, which he has to spend away from the beloved. And then Mir Taki Mir ka ye शेर, क्या कहूँ तुमसे मैं कि क्या है इश्क. क्या कहूँ तुमसे मैं कि क्या है इश्क, जहाँ का रोग है बला है इश्क. So basically the approximate translation is, how do I even begin to explain to you what is love? Suffices to say that love is a disease for your life, and it is a life-threatening evil calamity. So in this couplet, love has been identified as the life-threatening evil calamity which the lover will face. So as you can see, this Balai Ja pans out in different ways for the lover. There are different things coming at the lover which will threaten his life on his journey of love. So that takes care of Balai Ja. in the first line. Let's move on to uski har baat. Har translates to everything. Baat translates to words. But here it is not as straightforward as words, right? You know that colloquially when we say har baat, it includes everything, right? So यहाँ पर हर बात is detailing everything, period. It's not just har baat as in words that are said. It's just everything that the beloved does. And of course, Balaye Jaan and har baat are connected by uski. It is the beloved who is this transforming catalyst for har baat to become a life-threatening evil calamity. Ghalib in the first line is detailing a situation for the lover where no matter what the beloved says, no matter what the beloved does, no matter what style she says it in, no matter what style she does it in, the impact on the lover is life-threatening. The impact on the lover is calamitous. The impact on the lover is havoc. There is no escaping for the lover as far as this impact goes. The inescapable, the indelible, the ineradicable impact of the beloved. Now, it can be construed as something very light-hearted, right? That beloved hai, unki adaएं हैं, unki शोखी है, and she's teasing the lover, she's tantalizing the lover, and this is the impact that she's having on the lover. She's making the lover a little restless, a little impatient, testing his self-control. But it's not that frivolous. In DGMZ's humble opinion, it's not that frivolous, it's not that light, it's not that superficial. The impact Ghalib is capturing in this couplet has much more to it. It has a lot more weight to it. It is not your regular run-of-the-mill impact which somebody pretty would have on someone, right? It's not that frivolous, like I said. And to establish that, one great ghazal from Ibn Insha comes to mind. I will not read the whole ghazal, but few couplets in that ghazal are very enlightening as far as this concept goes. So the ghazal is Kal Chaudhवीं की रात थी, शब भर रहा चर्चा तेरा. And the first couplet we want to pick from it is, इस शहर में किससे मिलें, इस शहर में किससे मिलें, हमसे तो छूटी महफिलें, हर शख्स तेरा नाम ले, हर शख्स दीवाना तेरा. And the approximate translation is, the lover is telling the beloved, beloved, who do I go and visit in this town anymore? Who do I go and solicit company from in this town anymore? There's nobody left in the town with whom I can go sit and spend time, because everybody talks about you and everybody is enamored by you. And by extension, that makes them the lover's rival, right? Those people are wanting the same thing the lover is wanting. So it becomes very difficult for the lover to have a normal conversation with these people, knowing fully well that these people are harboring the same type of desires, the same type of wants as far as the beloved goes. And the Sher captures beautifully this widespread impact of the beloved. It's not just the lover, right? It's not just the lover. The beloved's circle of influence has no ends. So much so that lover is unable to identify anything that is not falling under the circle of influence of the beloved. एंड इसी गजल की एक और शेर, कूचे को तेरे छोड़कर, कूचे को तेरे छोड़कर जोगी ही बन जाए मगर, कूचे को तेरे छोड़कर जोगी ही बन जाए मगर, जंगल तेरे, पर्वत तेरे, बस्ती तेरी, सहरा तेरा. So the approximate translation is, the lover is again telling the beloved, beloved, I would if I could leave your threshold. I would do that. And leave your threshold and go and become a dervish, go and become a sage, go and become a mystic. Give it up. Give up all my desires and go. I would if I could, but jungle tere, the forests belong to you. Parbat tere, the mountains belong to you. Basti teri, the towns belong to you. Sehra tera, the deserts belong to you. Again, that wide range of influence, that wide expanse of influence, where does the lover go and hide? Where does the lover escape to? Jungle tere, parbat tere, basti teri, sehra tera. There is no place left where her presence is not there. And then of course इस गज़ल का मक्ता बहुत प्यारा है. बेदर्द, बेदर्द सुन्नी हो तो चल, कहता है क्या अच्छी गज़ल. बेदर्द सुन्नी हो तो चल, कहता है क्या अच्छी गज़ल. आशिक तेरा, रुस्वा तेरा, शायर तेरा, इंशा तेरा. And the theme continues to play, right? So the approximate translation is, O cruel one, if you really are interested in listening, come along, because I recite beautiful ghazals. I am the lover that belongs to you. I am the poet that belongs to you. I am the infamous person that belongs to you. And of course, I am Insha. Insha belongs to you. Again, the end-to-end circle of influence. The lover, and all the aspects of the lover, be it the poet, be it the infamous person, be it the person just per se, all aspects of the lover belong to the beloved. We are not talking about superficial, lightweight impact or influence the beloved has on a lover, or just a pretty thing has on someone, right? This is much, much deeper. This is much, much deeper. In the lover's world, the beloved is everywhere. She is everywhere. And he cannot escape it. Now, at this point in time, it is fair to mention briefly that though the beloved's influence, her presence is life-threatening for the lover, he seeks it. He wants it. He needs it to survive, to continue on his journey of unrequited love. They know it is dangerous, they know it is life-threatening, but that is the paradox here, right? Something which threatens your life is what you need to live on. And nobody captures it better than Ghalib, right? उनका ये कपलेट, उनका ये शेर, मोहब्बत में नहीं है फ़र्क जीने और मरने का. मोहब्बत में नहीं है फ़र्क जीने और मरने का, उसी को देख कर जीते हैं जिस कातिल पे दम निकले. There is no difference in living and dying as far as the lover goes. When you are in love, living and dying are pretty much the same thing, because you are living looking at the person who you would die for. Okay, so that takes care of the first line, बलाए जां है गालिब उसकी हर बात. Moving on to the second line. इबारत क्या, इशारत क्या, अदा क्या. So let's pick the keywords first. Ibarat. Now, ibarat translates to speech, a word, an expression, a phrase. उसके लिए फिराक गोरखपुरी का ये शेर, जिसे सूरत बताते हैं पता देती है सीरत का. जिसे सूरत बताते हैं पता देती है सीरत का. इबारत देख कर जिस तरह मानी जान लेते हैं. So the approximate translation is that what we call a face is actually a clue to the inner nature, the inner spirit of the person. Similarly, as the style of writing holds the clue to the meaning of what is written. You don't have to read the words. Just the style of expression, the style of writing can give you an insight into what is the underlying meaning of that message. And then एहसान अली खां का ये शेर बहुत प्यारा शेर है. अश्कों के निशान, अश्कों के निशान परचाए सादा पे हैं कासिद. अश्कों के निशान परचाए सादा पे हैं कासिद. अब कुछ ना बयां कर, ये इबारत ही बहुत है. The approximate translation is the marks of the teardrops, the stains of the teardrops are all over this blank page. O mailman, you do not have to explain the message to me anymore. I got the message. I got the message from what I'm seeing, from the way it has been expressed. And of course, there's nothing written on the paper, right? Parchai sada. It's a blank paper, but all it has is stains of teardrops. Re-emphasizing the fact that ibarat लफ्ज़ों की मोहताज नहीं है, right? Ibarat can be any style of expression. It's not dependent on words alone. Moving on to the second word, isharat. It translates to gesture, signs, hints, right? उसके लिए हसन नाइम का ये शेर, जो भी कहना है कहो साफ, जो भी कहना है कहो साफ, शिकायत ही सही. इन इशारात और किनायात से जी डरता है. So the approximate translation is whatever you have to tell me, tell it plain, simple, clear, transparent. Say it plainly, simply, clearly and transparently, because these hints, these gestures, these innuendos do not work. They confuse me. They scare me because I can't understand them. So speak up and speak up clearly. हफीज मेरठी का ये शेर, अब खुल के कहो बात तो कुछ बात बनेगी. अब खुल के कहो बात तो कुछ बात बनेगी. ये दौरे इशारात और किनायात नहीं है. So the approximate translation is talk to me and talk to me openly, because only then will this conversation move forward. The time, the phase to talk through gestures and signs and hints and innuendos is over. It is over. Talk to me upfront, plain and simple. So that takes care of isharat. Moving on to ada. Ada is translated as coquetry, style of the beloved, the airs of the beloved, the graces of the beloved, the temperament of the beloved. Simply put, all the ways of the beloved in which she behaves, conducts, talks, expresses, right? All those things are captured in this beautiful Urdu word अदा. मीर तकी मीर का ये शेर. गुल हो, महताब हो, आईना हो, खुर्शीद हो, मीर. गुल हो, महताब हो, आईना हो, खुर्शीद हो, मीर. अपना महबूब वही है जो अदा रखता हो. Approximate translation is be it the flower, be it the moon, be it the mirror, be it the sun. Mir, my beloved can only be someone who possesses a unique style, a unique grace, a unique temperament, a unique way of being. Right? जिगर मुरादाबादी का ये शेर. कुछ इस अदा से आज वो पहलू नशी रहे, कुछ इस अदा से आज वो पहलू नशी रहे, जब तक हमारे पास रहे हम नहीं रहे. Approximate translation is, today there was a unique style, a unique way of her being with me, being close to me, sitting beside me. And the way was so unique that for all that duration of time that she was beside me, I was absent, I was lost, I was not there. It was all her, I was lost in her. So, ये एक और अदा, एक और स्टाइल, एक और वे ऑफ द बिलवेड. एंड देन गालिब, राइट? गालिब कैप्चर्स अदा इन हिज ओन स्टाइल. उनका ये शेर देखिए, ये परी चेहरा लोग कैसे हैं. कितनी प्यारी बात है. ये परी चेहरा लोग कैसे हैं, गमज़ो इश्वाओ अदा क्या है. Design of the couplet is kind of similar to what we have in our ghazal. So the approximate translation is, these fairy-faced people, right? These angel-faced people. Who are they? What are they? Right? And what are these sidelong glances we are getting from them? What are these hints we are getting from them? What are these innuendos that are coming our way from them? It is just baffling. It is so perplexing. It's so confusing. It's so intriguing, right? And then गालिब का ये शेर, ना शोले में ये करिश्मा, ना बर्क में ये अदा. ना शोले में ये करिश्मा, ना बर्क में ये अदा, कोई बताओ की वो शोखे तुंद खू क्या है. So the approximate translation is, neither do flames have this magic, nor does lightning in the sky has this splendor. Flames don't have this magic, lightning doesn't have this splendor. Somebody tell me, who is this fiery quicksilver spark called the beloved? I've never seen anything like this. So, as you can see, Ada is Ada is explained in multitude of ways because it consists of multitudes of things about the beloved. Some will explain it as something very fiery, very intense. Some will explain it as something very fragile, something very delicate. But the fact remains, it is one of its kind. There are no parallels to the beloved's Ada in the entire universe, in the sky, on the earth, or anywhere in between. It is one of its kind. Okay. Now, we have picked all the keywords, ibarat kya, isharat kya, ada kya. Let's move on to the impression of the second line. So it seems that Ghalib is using the second line in a way to expand on a portion that was included in the first line. And what is that portion? Har baat. So when he says in the first line, uski har baat, ye sari baatein are included in it. Isharat, ibarat, ada. So, and this is Ghalib, right? It doesn't surprise you, but it still makes you marvel, right? The choice of words, ibarat and isharat. We have done the meaning, so we know ibarat is expressing through writing, through words, through something tangible. Isharat, on the other hand, is expressing in a very intangible way, something you cannot nail down, right? Something that is very elusive. And that brings us to the understanding that Ghalib has very wisely picked two words, one to signify the said and the other to signify the unsaid. So ibarat becomes the said and isharat becomes the unsaid. And ada is the style of doing both. इबारत की भी अपनी एक अदा है बिलवड की, इशारत की भी अपनी एक अदा है बिलवड की. And that is where you start getting the sense of what Ghalib is trying to do here. So Ghalib is saying everything that is tangible about her, everything that is intangible about her, everything said and everything unsaid, and all that lies in between is included in her bath, which has the potential to threaten my life. And while we were working on the impression and we were coming up with this concept of said and unsaid, tangible and intangible, one of my favorite quotes came to mind, right? And I will share it with you. So this quote is by the musician Ray Manzarek, who, with Jim Morrison, co-founded the American rock band The Doors. So this is the quote. There are things you know about. There are things you know about and things you don't. The known and the unknown. And in between are the doors. That's us. So it's a very interesting quote. I always found it very intriguing, very haunting, very thought-provoking, right? That known and unknown. Things you know about, things you don't know about, and everything in between. And it just tantalizes your mind, right? What all would lie in between these two. So, बिल्कुल वैसा ही लगता है. This second line in the couplet from Ghalib has that feel to it, right? Where he is using ibarat and isharat as two beautiful bookends between which everything else will get captured. What all will get captured makes you wonder, makes you get whimsical about it. And clearly, he doesn't want to define it. He doesn't want to give a word to it. It's a feeling of what lies between ibarat and isharat and the ada with which it lies. There are no keywords for it because this is Ghalib. If he wanted a word, he would have come up with a beautiful word, a beautiful way to express. But no, he wants to keep that wordless, right? It's just a feeling. And just building on that concept, right? आप फिरदौस गायवी का ये शेर देखिए. इल्म की इब्तिदा है हंगामा. इल्म की इब्तिदा है हंगामा, इल्म की इंतहा है खामोशी. बहुत ही प्यारा शेर है, very thought provoking. The approximate translation is the beginning, the starting, the origin of knowledge is noise. The said. The beginning of knowledge, the starting of knowledge is noise. The utmost limit, the end, the extreme of knowledge is silence. What a beautiful couplet. And then Arsh Malsiani का ये शेर, मोहब्बत सोज भी है, साज भी है. मोहब्बत सोज भी है, साज भी है, खामोशी भी है, ये आवाज भी है. Love has multiple aspects, multiple facets. So the translation is, love is the fire that will burn you. Love is the music that will soothe you. Love is silence and love is the voice. Again, playing into a theme of said, unsaid, known, unknown, and everything that lies in between. So that takes care of ibarat, इशारत, अदा. अब आए क्या पे, right? So Ghalib has used his favorite word and he has attached it to all three. Ibarat kya, isharat kya, ada kya. Now, as always, right? As always, we know that kya can be interpreted in more than one ways. It is added there by Ghalib to ask the reader to interpret it in more than one ways. Do we know all the ways? No, we can't fathom it. But we will share with you the top few that come to mind. So, pehla style, pehla interpretation, pehla connotation, confirmation. So, ibarat kya, isharat kya, ada kya, be it gesture, be it style, be it speech, everything is unique. Everything is in a class of its own. Everything has an impact that has never been seen before. So just confirming the impact and influence of these three things that belong to the beloved or that come from the beloved. So वो एक स्टाइल है इसको समझने का, क्या को. दूसरा स्टाइल एक्सक्लेमेशन, राइट, प्रेज वर्दी एक्सक्लेमेशन. सो क्या इबारत, क्या इशारत, क्या अदा, राइट, what speech she has, what gestures she has, what style she has, just in awe of these aspects of the beloved. So kya can play out in that praiseworthy, awe inspiring exclamatory style. Third one, actual genuine question, क्या, right? क्या ये इशारत है जो कि मेरी जान ले रही है? क्या ये उसकी इबारत है या क्या उसकी अदा है? तीनों में से है कौन सी, या क्या तीनों हैं? जान कौन सी चीज ले रही है, राइट? सो इज इट हर स्पीच, इज इट हर जेस्चर्स, इज इट हर स्टाइल? व्हाट इज इट अबाउट हर that is so life threatening to me as a lover? Or is it all three, right? And then another thing, that another style, another connotation that comes to mind is जहाँ लेवा है, सॉरी, बलाए जहाँ है गालिब उसकी हर बात, राइट? सो एवरीथिंग अबाउट हर इज लाइफ थ्रेटनिंग. तो फिर इबारत की क्या बिसात, इशारत की क्या बिसात, अदा की क्या बिसात? उसकी तो हर बात ही लाइफ थ्रेटनिंग है. सो अगेन, what standing does speech have in destructing my life? What standing does her gestures have in destructing my life? What standing does her style have in destructing my life? When the fact of the matter is everything about her is life threatening, life destroying. So those are a few ways you can interpret the kya that has been attached to ibarat, isharat and ada. Now that we have completed the second line, impression, meaning, etc., we can probably take a step back and look at the couplet in totality. बलाए जहाँ है गालिब उसकी हर बात, इबारत क्या, इशारत क्या, अदा क्या. Ghalib in this couplet very beautifully, right, very beautifully captures this killer style, this killer instinct, this killer way of being that the beloved has. Ghalib, while he is using the maqta to very beautifully, eloquently detail the life-threatening impact of anything and everything that the beloved does, he in no way is refusing to receive it. No matter how life-threatening, he wants to encounter it. He wants to experience it. And it will probably kill him. Because it is life-threatening, it will probably kill him. But he will invite the havoc, he will invite the disruption of his life. क्योंकि क्योंकि हवस को है नशाते कार क्या क्या, हवस को है नशाते कार क्या क्या, ना हो मरना तो जीने का मजा क्या. Okay, that concludes not only the Makta but the entire ghazal for us. It has been a long journey. I appreciate all the comments, all the feedback, all the interaction that has come through to us while we were going through this ghazal. Thank you. Thank you for being with us on this journey, collaborating with us, interacting with us on this journey. As always, let us know not only about this episode but in totality, how did the ghazal come across to you? The fact that we are finishing this ghazal today also means that we are going to start another one next time. Now, as always, for the new viewers, a very strong recommendation. Please access the episode Introduction to TGMC, because that will give you a good insight into the motivation and the inspiration behind this podcast. What are we trying to do here every week? Also, the homepage of the channel has multiple playlists. Surf it and pick episodes, playlists that interest you. Now, I'm going to end this episode. I'm sending a lot of love and light to all you dear viewers, and thanks for watching.